If you choose to look at your life in a holistic manner, you can then decide where your true values are.
We can consume the most beautiful, pure food in the world, but if your personal life is high stress, it's going to catch up to you.
And then that's that aha moment.
We both kind of impulsively quit our jobs with no business plan, no idea how to grow vegetables.
20% of your crops make 80% of your revenue, and the other 80% of your crops only make up 20%. We need to charge 50 cents more per unit on this, and now we're profitable.
This has revolutionized our business.
You can be a great organic grower and complete epic failure at a business. We're not paying ourselves for every hour we're working. There's no longevity in it if every farmer that starts doing this ends up burning out.
Growing your own food really does help connect you to the land.
I believe that if you don't like a certain system, it's not let's stand up and protest and fight that system, but it's let's create a system that replaces it and makes the old one obsolete. I'm gonna cancel Netflix and I'm gonna spend that $20 a month at the farmer's market.
I feel really strongly about this.
Okay, I'm here with Ansel and Brittany at Patriot Farms up here in Berks County, right?
Yep, Berks County.
Let's go around and get a little bit of a tour here. Tell me a quick backstory. Like, how'd you get into farming?
So my mother was into health foods. I was raised eating a lot of healthy organic food, even if it wasn't called organic then. And then my mother passed of cancer in '99 when I was 11. Kind of got off of that diet basically all through high school. I was eating, school lunches and whatever good junk food snacks I could convince my father to buy from the grocery store. 2012, I decided, as it was 3 years prior to owning the farm, that I was going to put in a big garden. And so that started it.
So you started growing your own food?
Just started growing my own food because I wanted to know what I was eating.
Yeah.
And I started going down the rabbit hole. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I was like, my mother used to feed me a certain way, and then we got away from that. So that started that, and then I was like, I think I might want to make a business out of this. So I was like, maybe I'll look for land. And then basically the land right next to me came for sale. That's where we are today.
From right here?
Yep, from half mile away, essentially.
Yeah, where our farm store is.
Yep, where the farm store is where I grew up.
Yeah, and then 2016 we met. I grew up in New Jersey outside of New York City. Never grew up farming, didn't know anything, just kind of like a city girl. Always rode horses though, and then I liked working in the barns in high school. I liked taking care of horses. And combined with my interest in health food, I became really interested in organic farming. I came out to...
Right from the jump?
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, this is really interesting. My family was mortified that I dropped out of college to work on organic farms. And one of our mutual friends who introduced us, she was like, oh, there's this hippie, there's this farmer I want you to meet. He's an organic farmer. I was like, yeah, you're going to meet him. You're going to farm together. You're going to have babies. I was like, perfect. Can't wait. So my friend was having a summer solstice gathering. She's like, Ansel's going to be there. I want you to meet him. So I was like, all right, here we go. I was walking up the steps to be introduced to Ansel, and I took one look at him, and I was like, hell no. Yeah, it was not this long-haired
sleeveless guy eating a bowl of chili, right? Something like that.
Shoveling chili in his mouth, and what do you know? We're married.
Here you are.
We farm together.
2 weeks later, she called and she's like, I kind of want to see the farm.
Yeah.
And that was, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
When you were first starting out in 2012, how much did you know? And how much time did you spend learning all of this?
So 2012 to 2015 was just home gardening. I knew about Rodale because they're local in Kutztown. Yeah. My mother had a stack of Rodale books from the 80s and 90s, organic gardening. So read those. So
you've taken those principles you learned in 2012, 2015 and just scaled it up as you've expanded. To
a point, other people had already, it's referred to as a market gardening style. And other people had also had those similar ideas and kind of had pioneered it. I saw what the Mennonites around Kutztown were doing. A lot of them had these farms with several greenhouses, and they were doing some hand-pick field crops and things like that. And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe I can do something like that. what I'm doing is a lot different than what most of them do. But, you know, it was a little bit of I saw his here, and, you know, 2010, it's like early YouTube days. So, you know, like that's how I discovered some of these people, that then like how I ended up buying their book or something.
Even back then.
Yeah, early YouTube, you know, I was.
Yeah, I think that like YouTube definitely has like this way of like
YouTube,
romanticizing like
YouTube
farming,
University.
Sustainable, yeah.
When you were making this into a business, did you know that that's what you wanted to do? Were you still passionate about it, or did it become...
When I bought the property back here, the idea was, yes, to build a farm that could be a business. The idea was to replace my alternate income. It did not happen it was not a full replacement by 2018. So summer of 2018 was my first time I worked only on the farm. And that was actually your first year. Well, you only came in halfway through the summer. Yeah. You came in to bail me out probably because I was like drowning in tomatoes and trying to like too many things that I didn't know what I was doing. And
we did not go into this treating it like a business. We were like super idealistic. Yeah, we were super idealistic, and we were like, yeah, let's just do it. And so we both kind of impulsively quit our jobs with no business plan, no idea how to grow vegetables, really no savings.
So you weren't really looking towards the future. You're just kind of
we were
in the moment. Let's do it.
Like young people, like super impulsive young people, would 100% never do that again. And I advise anyone to have a business plan and like don't be impulsive. Don't do it to yourself.
So where are we? Lenhartsville?
Lenhartsville, yeah.
And then you have... What is it? 2 acres fenced in?
3 acres inside the deer fence, 8-foot deer fence.
And you're certified organic?
Yep, we're certified organic.
And was that, when did you become certified?
2021.
Yeah,
so more recently.
Yeah, so we've always grown organically. Kind of 2 things led us to getting certified organic. One, the reason why we waited so long to get certified organic is because it's really expensive, like, and the process.
And the paperwork burden.
Yeah, the paperwork burden, and it's just stupid expensive.
The record-keeping burden.
And then in 2021, we had an Overspray incident. So we're surrounded by, even though like we have good buffer zones and all that, we're surrounded by conventional fields. So in 2021, someone was contracted to come spray pesticides on the conventional
severe
fields.
Operator error.
It was a windy day. The person was spraying, and the pesticides drifted onto a farm, and like we lost everything that spring. Oh my God!
It was like, so
everything was covered in pesticides.
Everything had leaf damage, so we chose to cull it, and we were not going to grow that and sell that stuff as organic, because like, so then that was like, okay, we need to get the certification for sure to reinforce this. And my neighbor's totally cool.
Yeah, the neighbor's great.
It was the contract. It was who was contracted.
Nice. That was a major loss. We tried to pursue it legally. That was like also a complete dead end, and really frustrating.
Yeah, going up against a $20 billion Canadian company was a stupid idea for a small fish like myself. I just wasted more money on an attorney fees, and so it cost us about $7,000 in testing and attorney fees that we didn't recoup. And
then like we had all the financial loss of lost crops. We had employees.
10 to 20,000 financial loss in crops that year is what we had estimated. So
just from one incident.
Yep. Yeah, from just someone not paying attention.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like
So that led to being
so we're certified organic now.
Yeah, because it gives us more of a leg to stand on to request a buffer zone from the neighbor, and to be like, also we're on different websites and things that show, so that like sprayer operators can go see. It's like Drift Watch is basically what it is as the website.
So it's different for a lot of these farmers. We can keep walking.
Yeah.
I've gone around to a lot of farms, and they are doing everything organically, but they're not certified.
Oh yeah.
But for some farms like yours, it would make sense to certify to what extent? So how does it benefit you guys?
The organic label, like the USDA organic label, it's kind of corrupt.
Well, so
and we can get into the real organic.
Yeah, I would say I'll get into that.
But
price would be the biggest benefit.
Yeah.
The price point we can ask is better because we have the label to reinforce it, especially to customers at a farmer's market who won't always come out to the farm. I mean, you have a lot of people on social media these days that see what we're doing, but they won't necessarily actually come out and understand it. So.
So that label makes it more reassuring.
It's security security for the buyer.
Modern consumers have been trained to trust the organic label. But
like in a grocery store
exactly,
setting.
Like trust the organic label.
Yeah.
But like in all actuality, like the USDA organic is super flawed and does not favor the little growers like we are.
The Real Organic project that I have on my hat here, we joined that a few years ago. That's an add-on food label for certified organic farms, USDA certified organic farms, that says that you're certifying your soil grown or your pasture raised livestock. Basically, it sets us apart from the now USDA organic that allows you to have hydroponics in, and Europe and Canada don't allow that. So that's a US thing only.
So you're certified organic to like the highest level?
Not the highest level. The highest level would be ROC certification, which is regenerative organic certification, and the Regenerative Organic Alliance does that. And that's a whole nother level. And I'm not saying that we couldn't get that. We just haven't pursued that.
I see.
Because it's like paperwork on top of paperwork.
I see, yeah.
And
our job is to grow food, like naturally, not do a bunch of paperwork.
Now, does it get hard with the paperwork and the constant monitoring that they have to come out here, right? And you're dealing with contractors.
They come out once a year to do an inspection. Basically, it's just they're going to randomly pick some crops and things, and they do a mass audit is one of them, which is like, okay, what's the total number of this crop you sold this year? What's the total number you planted? Where'd you put it? You know, do your numbers match? You know, they want to be like, if you sold 10,000 whatever, did you plant the amount of seeds that would support that growth? Or it's like, oh, you know, it's basically trying to catch fraud.
I see.
We just keep really good records using our task ticket system.
Yeah, so this is a really cool system that helps keep us basically organized.
But basically, it's a map of the farm with information as to what needs to get done or where it was done. You can use this to relay information to a employee, or it's also just a record then. So.
And this helps with
and
just certifying.
Put those in a binder. So when we get that audit, and they say, where did you do all this?
You can show them that.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So basically, Ansel's because he was an engineer, you know, he's super organized like that. So Ansel's excellent at systematizing things.
This makes it easier for you to be certified organic.
Yep.
For sure.
Because then you're not disorganized. Everything is together, and you're able to show the.
It's also easier just to manage our crop.
Manage crop plan, manage employees. Communication, I think, across the board, anywhere in any industry, is really difficult, especially when you have employees. So, what we would do is over the week, Friday afternoon, we'd kind of stop working early, and we'd sit down, the entire crew, Ansel and I, and we'd go on the whiteboard. We'd come up with an entire color-coded plan for the following week, and we'd all talk about it. So it's coming in Monday morning, everyone knew what was going on. And then to kind of back up the board, we'd have the task tickets. So there's a crop maintenance task ticket, there's a planting task ticket, and this is all kind of really boring, but this is a cultivation ticket. This is what made us become really efficient, a really efficient business.
It also helped us find where we had inefficiencies.
Yeah.
You know, because it was also a time record.
So here's a good example.
How much time was spent to do something.
We record how long it takes us to do things. So
close estimate. You know, if it's not exact, that's fine. Where I'm not out there stopwatch, go.
This helps us with cost analysis. So a lot of farmers don't go about doing this, but they don't actually understand cost of production. They don't actually know
that the cost for the whole farm and the amount of money they made on the whole farm. They don't know how to allocate it across all their different crops. And the more diverse you are, the more complex that is.
We did a lot of cost analysis to understand what it actually costs to produce a certain vegetable.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's actually really boring, and none of the romantic YouTube videos or the cool farming books talk about this. But this kind of organization and cost analysis is what keeps your farm in business. It breaks my heart to see small farmers go out of business after their first year, and I think a lot of that's because they didn't understand the business end of owning a farm.
Basically, it's a total of the times that are spent on that specific crop and total yield. So therefore, total amount of revenue, and you have the total time. So you have a cost because you have a labor rate.
Yep.
And then any inputs, material inputs. So you have material input costs, labor input costs. You put those two together, that against the amount of money you make, you'll find out what your percentage of profitability or lack of percentage of profit, like your negative, like if you're like losing money.
Yeah, the numbers are shocking, and like we'll show you like kind of what we're talking about. But, like,
so do you decide to cut certain crops the following year? And
our most profitable crop was something we both weren't anticipating. So it's just like really insightful.
But this helps you keep going.
It's the only way like you can stay in business. Like you can't.
Or you're just being lucky.
Yeah. I mean, like
you just got lucky.
Yeah.
So we were like, why are we struggling to be profitable? So that was what was the drive. Like, okay, well, like I can see the overall numbers, but I was like, how much of that is carrots? How much of that is lettuce? How much of that is tomatoes? How much is peas? How much is beans? How much is this, that, whatever? How much is microgreens? By spending all that time collecting the data individually per crop, we were able to break that down and have a much better idea of how it was allocated, and then be like, okay, actually these are the top crops making, it's what the 20% of your crops make 80% of your revenue, and the other 80% of your crops only make up 20%.
So this is sort of the backbone of your farm.
It becomes a tool, essentially. It just becomes a management tool for managing where to spend your time based on what's profitable and what's not.
How much more profitable have you been since implementing this?
We're more profitable because we reduced labor from 75% of our gross revenue to less than 50% of our gross revenue. Ideally, we'd want to get it down to like 30%. And it's more than just growing skills.
Yeah.
You have to have business. You can be a great organic grower and complete epic failure at a business owner.
Yeah, so this book right here, by Richard Woodwall, this shifted everything for us. It's all about like crop cost analysis. So basically we found that by doing crop budgets, we found that like red slicing tomatoes, like everyone knows like red slicing tomatoes, we found that it cost us negative 61% to produce. So like every time we sold a red slicing tomato, it cost us $1.47 to produce.
No way.
So we don't grow those anymore. And then.
But you would have had no idea.
We would have literally had no idea. That was like that was a complete bombshell for us.
Huh.
I think our most profitable crop. Like, what would you like think like our most profitable crop is?
I want to say maybe lettuce or something.
Close. Right? It's transplanted spinach in the wintertime at like 60% profitability or something like that. Who would have thought, right?
How do you balance that? Are you looking at all of this from a year picture, or by month, or?
You saying how is the budget calculated for the whole year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The budget's calculated for the crop, whatever the duration of the crop is.
I see.
So it's different per crop. It's if you plant a 50-foot row of carrots or lettuce, we know our yield, we know how much money we're going to make on that. So every time we do that, it's the same thing. Again, it's just, you're just duplicating it essentially.
So you have a paper for every single crop that you're growing.
Yep.
You know exactly when it was planted, how much time was spent on it, how much
That's what the task tickets are.
Wow.
Richard Wiswell provided a open source Excel template for a single planting, single harvest, very simple budget. As part of a crop budget, you have you have your input costs, it's inputs and yield. So you are inputs and expenses versus your yield times whatever you're getting as your rate, so that gives you a revenue. So inputs, expenses versus revenue, what's left is profit. So essentially, one of the inputs is anything that's overhead. Overhead is anything that's not specific to the crop. So like if we're planting and seeding carrots, we're not worried about every 4 years we have to put maybe new plastic on a greenhouse tunnel, and how much time does that take, and spread that out over. So part of it was doing these overhead budgets, which broke down all the structures on the farm, their initial building cost, including labor, so materials and labor, life of the structure, and so you have a rate per year. And then I know the total number of beds that I can plant on the farm per year. So that allows me to then spread that overhead onto each one of those beds. So then this is where I was saying the standard unit of measure is a 30-inch wide bed, 50 foot long. I know that a 30-inch wide bed that's 50 foot long has an additional $50 per bed. And that accounts for all of the overhead on the farm. The first $50 covers, what it costs to build the farm, and then, your labor and expenses, and then what's remaining is your profit.
Yeah.
So it takes everything into account.
If you don't mind me asking, what is your total gross income from all this?
So last year was 96?
Last year we grossed 96.
Or that was 90 last year and 96 the year before, but whatever. It's around 90,000, between 90 and 100,000 for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And then you have your costs
gross,
too.
yes.
Yeah.
And then that's all calculated through here, so you know exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So cost it's really simple. You can see because cost, like she tracks all costs and expenses we use QuickBooks. So that is real-time tracking of what we've spent, what's gone out the door, and what's come in. Budgets are hypothetical in reality.
And how many crops on average are you guys
per bed
growing?
per year?
Yeah.
40 average.
40.
Say 40. Once I have a budget, I can make another budget to I want to see if I lower the price point, I'm selling it all wholesale, am I still profitable? Or how much can I lower the price point to sell at offer at wholesale and still not lose money? That's once the budget's established. It's really easy to do that because it's Excel and it's just a couple numbers, punch it in. It's really also easy to be if I raise this 50 cents, am I going from being negative 5% to now positive 20%? And we've done that simply with some of them. It was like, oh, literally, we need to charge 50 cents more per unit on this, and now we're profitable. And it was as simple as that. But without looking at the numbers and having that Excel spreadsheet as a tool, you are just taking a guess,
And this has been revolutionized our business, but it's also been insanely tedious.
But essentially, our actual gross revenue last year was around, let's say, 95,000, and I'm blanking on what our gross expenses were honestly right now.
I'm blanking. So
I want to say around 50,000. I don't know. We don't have those numbers in front
of
us.
Well, roughly, yeah.
And full disclosure, we're not paying ourselves for every hour we're working at this point.
All of this has been incredible, and I any chance I get, I like to tell farmers about this because this is going to make or break your business. Generally speaking, just super important process. I think.
No, this is fascinating to see.
Just can't say enough positive things about that.
So to change gears, how much of a health focus do you have here?
So interesting. I firmly believe that everything happens for a reason. So if I'm being honest, the first couple years we started out, the stress load between, again, our personal lives and then the financial stress of the farm, trying to hone in our practices, I was really stressed out and was really unhealthy. We weren't eating properly because we couldn't justify the time to sit and cook a meal. Stress does crazy things to the body. We can, consume the most beautiful, pure food in the world, locally grown, organic, sustainable. But if your personal life is high stress, it's going to take a toll on your body.
Yeah, it's detrimental.
Yeah, it's gonna affect you. It's gonna catch up to you. That's one of my biggest takeaways. It's so interesting. Growing your own food really does help connect you to the land in ways that you wouldn't imagine. And not only does it help to connect you to the land, but also it helps you find this space within yourself that's authentic, right? So I found the more time that I've been farming, the more I've come closer to my authentic self.
But you're very connected here, whereas an average American, I don't know, living wherever, going into a grocery store, there's such a disconnect between them and their food.
And I can speak from experience because I grew up this way. I didn't understand seasonality. I could go get a tomato at the food store whenever I wanted growing up. I didn't understand that tomatoes grew during the summer.
This has to be super rewarding too, to see all the effort you put in and to see what you're producing here. And
one of the most rewarding things is on Sundays when we're at a farmer's market.
Yes.
And it's right before market starts, and we have this beautiful spread of all the veggies we've grown all week. And just being able to connect with our customers and know them on a first name basis and know what's going on in their life. That has surprisingly been the most rewarding part of farming for me?
The health is what made me decide to start growing my own food again, which I think I mentioned earlier. And it was basically the lack of trust of what's in our grocery store food. Basically, I was like, I want to eat healthier, so we should start eating more organic. And I was like, I should just grow my own because it was really expensive. So to me, health is what brought me here. And then it's interesting, like she talks about, you essentially were talking about getting burnt out with farming and pushing too hard, but you can get burnt out in any career. But it was interesting, like health brought me to this life. And I definitely, a couple times over the past few years, have felt like I actually maybe am less healthy because I'm working so hard, because I'm so driven to make a change in our food system, and that food is medicine, health is wealth, and that I was putting it before
your own health,
my own personal needs, essentially, sleep and drinking enough, the simple things, sleep enough, stay hydrated, stretch
Yoga,
and take personal time, take some time to enjoy the fruits of your labors too.
Well, you were telling me you're trying to right size your farm.
Yeah. Well, I heard another guy that you had talked to had said that, and I was like, that is such a great way of saying it, because we definitely scaled up, thinking that was the right, scaled up from only being these first 2 greenhouses, no employees, to having up to 6 employees. We're just trying to find a good balance, between really going headfirst in on everybody should grow their food like this, or be getting their food from someone growing it like this, and being like, I'm only human and I have a limited capacity of what I can handle. And even if I'm bringing great health to, all my customers and stuff that are shopping at the market, if I'm taxing my own health, I'm going to burn out and not be able to keep doing this. So I need to find a way, there's no longevity in it if every farmer that starts doing this ends up burning out. The holistic concepts are something new that came to us about 3-4 years ago. I'm trying to focus more on that, and that means I need to not just worry about what I'm consuming or products I'm using, but also how I'm spending my time, how I'm spending my energy, where I'm putting my energy. I don't have the answers right now. It is definitely a work in progress.
Well, you have to be able to find balance. That's what I've found is you can get so consumed with one thing. Take, for example, eating clean. It's very hard to eat clean 100% of the time. It can be overwhelming to
100%.
always be conscious about it, whereas that can be just as unhealthy as consume something that's unhealthy, but if you're 90% doing the right things, the other 10%, it's not that big of a deal.
But another thing, I think part of that is a lot of customers don't realize the amount of work that goes into growing organic food. Therefore, I don't think they understand the stress and the burden that it can be on a grower, especially at this scale. And that then directly equates to what customers are willing to pay. When a customer starts hearing more stories from the farmer and of their life and what it's like, they have something to connect to, and then suddenly that adds value. So it definitely, I think, like this, getting the awareness out there that yes, we need to be growing our food on a small scale, and we need to be growing it organically and regeneratively, but we also need to do it in a way that's sustainable for the growers.
I feel like too, this relates to knowing your farmer.
Yes, for sure.
If somebody knows their farmer, they're going to put more trust in that farmer and be more willing to support that farmer.
A great example is just a couple of days ago, I had a customer email me, and she was like, "Hi, I'm looking for heirloom tomatoes. I can't find them anywhere, and a lot of people are asking an unfair price, meaning too expensive." And I, quickly responded back very politely. I was like, "Hi, I do have heirloom tomatoes. But I'm full transparency, we do charge $6 a pound for them." And I explained this pains me to do that, but I explained how we had like we did a cost analysis on it, and like that's the reality.
She got the budget talk.
Yeah, I pretty much was like, you know, like I was just transparent about like, hey, this is actually what it costs us to produce these tomatoes.
Did you just send her the PDF?
I should have. I was gonna offer it, yeah. But like, and like I was just really transparent, and I told her and explained like why we had to charge that, and she was like, hey, thank you so much. Like this is great. Like I can't wait to come by and buy some tomatoes. Like she was like, thanks for being so honest about this.
I think
so it was really cool.
Our modern food system, at least in the U.S., modern grocery stores have removed the farm from and the relationship of the farm and the farmer from the eater, which has more made the eater just a consumer. You know, just they're like, and what do consumers want? Consumers want the best deal. You know, a spender wants to get the best price. So it's like the divorce from where and how our food is grown and where and who's eating it. That's happened over the last 50 to 100 years, or maybe more just in the last 50 to 70. That I think is definitely the root cause of why people have such a lack of understanding. And I think some people just think it's like, well, you just buy seeds and you put them in the ground and then you come back 6 months later and harvest and bring it to market. And it's like,
I wish it was that easy.
A perfect world, sure. Brittany, with the health, you're studying Eastern medicine, essentially, which hasn't been so far divorced from our food, because that's another thing is we've divorced the people from the people growing the food from the people eating the food. And also we've separated our medicinal, our health system has been completely separated from the food system. We're told they're, you know, two different things. And like, although you have the FDA, which is food and drugs. So that's really confusing because it's like almost acknowledging that they are the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's our modern system is
it's crazy.
Compartmentalize everything so that people don't make the connections, and then if you don't make the connections,
say like there's a lot of like beneficial things too, like about modern healthcare. Like just want to say that like there's a lot of really excellent
it's easy to just
so
throw everything under the bus, but
there just are certain aspects that maybe could be done a little bit better.
So the biggest thing I think, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, is time. People don't have time really to spend on buying the right things, going to a farm, going to a grocery store, doing the research. How do you think that could change?
I think it's really important to be disciplined with their time. So, you know, like the reality of it is a lot of people have to work full-time jobs, you know, like at set hours, and trying to balance like everything else in life is really can be difficult. But I also think like a lot of time gets spent on like maybe things that aren't the healthiest, like, you know, like Netflix and social media. Like when you start paying attention how much time you spend on those outlets, you might be like, oh my gosh, that I spent 4 hours after work today watching Netflix. And I'm not saying that like all those things are inherently evil. Like, you know, like sometimes it's really nice to get like caught up in a TV show. But if, you know, like you allocate like, okay, maybe I'm only going to watch like a half hour of a TV show today and maybe go for a walk outside for a half hour. Like, I think it's like small changes like that.
But how would you say people can start to care again? Because if you would say that to someone, they'd be like, oh, it doesn't matter. I don't care. I'm not going to do that.
I think it's about like finding your passion. I think like the moment like you start to become passionate about something, so like
something has to click.
Something has to click, and then it escalates from there.
If you choose to look at your life in a holistic manner, you can then decide where your true values are. Are your true values in you want to be healthier for yourself and your family and eat healthier? Or is it, well, I really just want the day to be over and sit there and watch Netflix? Yeah. And it's a choice. It's a personal choice you got to make. I am not saying that it is easier by any means, because the system that we live in, the modern food system and modern health system, has specifically made it that it's not easier. It is harder for us to go. You can't go to a grocery store, at least around here, and get all the things you want that are healthy and locally grown and organic. it is, culturally, certain areas are easier to live this than other ways. And that is also, but that's part of like the cultural demographic of what people have chosen to value in that area.
So like an example of this is like by eating locally and supporting your local farms, you're going to spend more money on your food. And because of that, maybe you don't spend as much on like your high fashion wardrobe.
Like, what do you actually need? Like if you're buying some kind of clothing because it's high quality made and it's for a health reason, that makes sense. If you're buying some kind of quality that's expensive, but it's low quality and you're buying it because of status, because of the brand name, but then you're saying, oh, I don't have time to eat organically. Like, well,
or the money
you should, or the money. Yeah. Then you should
maybe you
probably
just need to
focus
reevaluate.
on, reevaluate where your values lie.
Yeah.
But some people don't want to do that, though.
And
And I mean, that's the choice, and
That's
that's
fine.
the freedom
Go
of
ahead.
choice. So, but for those who want to do it or say they want to do it and say that they don't have the time or don't have the means, I would say look at your life in a holistic manner and pay attention to what you want your values to be and where are you actually focusing and putting value in your life, meaning where are you spending your most energy and time. And it's like, oh, and then that's that aha moment where you're like, oh, I'm actually, you know what? I'm going to cancel Netflix and I'm going to spend that $20 a month at the farmer's market or something.
Yeah.
That's just a random example.
Yeah.
Or a book on how to grow your own backyard garden.
And
Exactly.
teach their own. But
Yes.
So what does the future hold for you guys?
So a big thing is that we need to teach more people to do this. So for me, what I'd like to do is develop an education course either on farm or in conjunction with, a local university potentially. So the idea would be to continue farming in in the right size farm for myself and for Brittany,
sustainable.
for our lifestyle that we want. But at the same time, what I really want to do is like, I don't want to have done this for 10 years, do it to a scale that I burned out at and then give up and go on. And, I want to figure out that, really good scale that works and what those little tricks are. But I really think that having places where somebody can go to actually learn hands in the dirt, not just in a book of how to grow your own food, that's something that we don't have anymore, because that was something that was taught in the family structure, that was taught in the community, and we've lost that over the last 50 to 100 years in this country.
So truly making an impact on people.
Yeah, like if the only way we're going to, I believe that if you don't like a certain system, then it's not let's stand up and protest and fight that system, but it's let's create a system that replaces it and makes the old one obsolete. So I don't like our current food system, so let's create something that makes that obsolete.
Well, thank you so much for having me
Thanks for
here.
coming. This is
This
great.
is awesome. I
Yeah.
think you're really making a difference, and hopefully people will start to come around more and be more open to people like you.
Yeah, and it's nice just to get the word out there, tell our story.
Yeah.
We tell the people that come to the farm, whoever comes to the farm and wants to listen. But, when you're in a farmer's market, you have about 30 seconds to interact with the customer. Some customers might step behind the booth and we have a 5-minute conversation, but it's not the same. So it's really nice to get the story out there and let people know
absolutely.
the direction we want to go in and what it's cost us to get to here, in emotional and as well as, financially and time.
Yeah.
and
Well,
all
I think
those
it's
things,
important
so.
to put the faces out there to the people who are producing the food and what they're experiencing and what their future looks like for a better food system. So thank you so much, Ansel, for having me.
Thank you, Drew.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you, Brittany. Don't forget to subscribe and hear more stories about the people behind a healthier future in this playlist right here. Able to be more efficient with less space and use more space.